I delve in 21 different modalities. So I am an expert in 21 different things. And you know what? I just don't say this to get eyebrows up, but I am. My website speaks for me. My work speaks for me. My client testimonials speak for me. You ask a question, I'll close my eyes, a particular card pops up in my heart, in my head, and I open the deck, the same card will pop out. Now I can't open my head to show you that the same card came, but I will look at the card and smile. Oh, this is the same card. And it's not happened once, it happened many times with many people. So then I've come to.
There is manifestation. You can manifest success, you can manifest anything.
And you know, the power of manifestation is only 17 seconds, which not many people know. You don't have to do it daily, you don't have to do it for hours together. No. 17 seconds is what.
Shamvi, once people become popular, famous, out in the media, well known, well recognized, do you feel that fear takes over?
I do. Because then the fear of the failure is there. Then the fear of being not acknowledged is be there. Then there is competition. Oh, this one got invited there and that one didn't get invited. Oh, I didn't get invited. Am I losing out? All of that happens. And you know, there were many times I could just connect with random people in the malls or things like that. And I would give them very funny, silly advices and walk away. And years later, they would look me up somewhere or see me again and then tell me, you know, you told us this and we did this and it happened.
Shamvi Singh, an author, Vastu consultant, life coach, motivational speaker, has been an energy healer for the last 26 years and won several awards, such as the Rex Karamveer Chakra Award and the Maharashtra Ratan Puraskar Award in 2024. Shamvi speaks to me about tarot cards, she speaks to me about her energy healing, and took me through the journey that she's been through. Welcoming Shamvi Singh on Inner Habit. Hi Shamvi, welcome to Inner Habit. How are you?
Hi, I'm good and thank you so much for having me over. I'm excited to talk to you.
I am excited too. You are my first tarot card reader on my show, so this is going to be really good and fun.
Thank you. I feel very privileged with that I'm the first one, owning to the fact that there are ocean of other healers and spiritual people around. But thank you so much. Makes me feel really special and nice.
You are special, and that's why you're on the show. So let's have a look at why you are special. So tell us about you, Shamvi.
Wow. So I basically come from a state called Bihar, and that's where I have grown up, and my schoolings, and I have stayed there. So early part of life has been with mom, dad. Dad used to work for a tea estate company, so I lived in Kolkata, Calcutta, as what we know as. So my earlier schooling, formative days was in Calcutta. Then moved from there, lived in Patna till my 12th. Then big leap happened wherein I left for Bangalore, wherein I finished my graduation and post-graduation. And the city just seemed to dawn on me to an extent that I just didn't want to leave. So I started working. And something very nice about the city was that my tarot came from Bangalore, which is also one of the reasons that I'm very fond of this city. And it seems like home to me. Though years have gone by, people have flocked away. But the fact that whenever I land in the city, I feel I've come home. There's this beautiful connection. So so that happened, and I worked. I graduated in doing hotel management. I worked with hotels, the best brands we could speak about, excellent everything. I was a PR face of a property, and I could say I was literally living the absolute Cinderella moment till I got an offer from the Times of India, Pune, and I decided to bring the curtains down to the Cinderella moment and move to Pune. So Pune was again a beautiful stint. I worked with the Times of India, one of the best brands in the country. Little after that, I worked with Airtel. That's when I met my husband. And I lived in Pune for a very long time. We got married. After that, moved to Mumbai. So Mumbai again has become home now. It's been 15 plus years I've been in Mumbai, and it's been beautiful. Bombay has given me my son, my home, my identity, who I am, what I do. It's just carved me. It's just, like we all have a lot of qualities, we have a lot of potential. But Bombay is one place that has given me a space to be who I am. I could multitask. So as I speak to you, I delve in 21 different modalities. So I am an expert in 21 different things. And you know what? I just don't say this to get eyebrows up, but I am. My website speaks for me. My work speaks for me. My client testimonials speak for me. And the fact that I have been in the top 5 for almost 15 years, since 2009, that was the time I came to Bombay. Uh, I have been in that list. So I feel very privileged. It's not just my craft, but my clients, my people who love me, who trust in me, have kind of given it to me.
So when you say you've been in the top 5, what do you mean? Top 5 what? In spirituality or in tarot card? What have you been top 5
In
in?
healing, in spirituality, I do life coach. So I'm a life coacher. Uh, I go to a lot of women destitute homes. I go to not small. I closely work with a lot of NGOs. So that's when I realized they are the one to chart me up. At some point of time, I don't have the screenshot. Now I regret I should have. At some point of time, when you would Google me up, you would find me in the top 3. So in Mumbai, if you type the top best tarot readers, I would rank in the top 3, and I would feel very, beautiful about it. So it's the overall ranking that my clients have given me, that you're among the top 5. Because if a unknown person is given my reference, so they were like, oh, that lady, yes, we've heard about her. We've not met her, but we've seen her. We've heard about her. So at least even in a crowd where I am not there, my name is good enough and people tend to acknowledge it. And recently I happened to meet a couple, and they said, we were trying to get your appointment since 2018. We finally got to meet you in 2019, and that too in a mall when you were running to catch a movie, and we stopped you and we just took your card, and then you just ran in for a movie. And then we felt, okay, at least we've got a card, so finally we'll get to see her. And I actually met that couple in 2022.
Wow.
Yeah. Finally.
I must be one of the lucky ones to get an appointment with you today.
No, the feeling's mutual.
I'm glad. So, Shambhi, tell me about your awards, because you're very well recognized. You have won plenty of awards. So tell us all about that.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful story. I have lots of stories, by the way. Okay, so like I said, 2009, when we came here, we moved from Pune, and while our luggage was yet to be moved, we were in a makeshift space of my husband's friend's home. And that was a time there was no home, there was no belongings, we didn't know what to do. So we used to gallivant around the city, trying to explore the city. And you talk about manifestation. So here is something for everybody who will listen about manifestation. So Marine Drive was something in Bombay where everybody flocks off to, which is also called the Queen's Necklace. So one evening it was just, we were driving around and I said, let's catch some breath and sit by the sea. I closed my eyes. I made a wish. And my wish was, hey, I've seen a lot of films, I've heard of a lot of people who come to you and who are nobody and they become somebody. I need my identity. I want to be recognized for who I am, not because of my husband's name or my father's name or my family background, or because I'm someone's daughter or someone's friend or someone's thing. I want to be recognized for who I am. And I want people to say, look, I know this lady. I closed my eyes. I saw that. I visualized myself lifting up my first award. I used to fly the airlines, and I used to look at people's interviews, and I used to say, this is something where I want to be. I said that. I didn't hold it. I went with life's flow. I was working with a corporate, and busy with 9 to 5, 5 days working. Where I mean, that thought was not there of creating an identity and all of that. What I spoke out of that impulsively. 2012, my son uh, was to come, and I got this news that I am in a family way. So I obviously had to leave that very busy life and sit at home. Taro was always by my side, and that is the time wherein I realized that I have to do something of my own, which is so me. So I started tarot, and it used to be my weekend getaway. So 2012 was the year wherein I first got nominated for the award. My first award came, and right after my son was born, and it was the most beautiful thing, I would say. Most beautiful thing. It was, and you know what? I got it at a place which overlooked the sea. I think it's right here. This is my first award. This is my
And
first.
what is that? What is that award?
So it says it's given for Grandmaster in Tarot Prediction in 2016. I got this.
Wow.
And it came to me at a time wherein I came out from that award place and the sea was right in front. I went there and I said, cheers, thank you so much. And the journey of awards has started. Till the recent award, which just took me by my this took me. I mean, I felt so accomplished walking up the ramp, walking up the stage to take the Maharashtra Ratan Award was so satisfying. I can't tell you. I just can't tell you. I mean, at that moment, thousand emotions were running in my head, heart, eyes, smile. Some were saying, look here, look there, smile, all of that. It was just beautiful. So from 2016, my award rack, I'll just take you through the award rack. So that's been my award rack. So that's my award rack. And there are a few around the house which have not been able to fit here.
So you manifested this dream, you've manifested it and it's come true. But behind that manifestation comes a lot of hard work.
Yes.
Tell us how that journey was. I mean, you're starting out. How does one even comprehend leaving a full-time job and then come into tarot card reading and hope that there is success at the end of it?
It was not easy. It was not easy because I was a hands-on mom. I didn't have nanny. I didn't have help. It sounds very basic, but I wanted to experience everything for the first time. I was not sure if I will have a second kid or not. So I didn't want to leave the chance to a nanny to enjoy my son's everything, right from the bathing to getting him ready to walking him to a daycare or to playing with him or to having those tough moments wherein I am like struggling to eat or sleep or whatever. And then I have nobody to even give me a hand's help and say, okay, fine, grab it. So, weekends, my husband used to do a helping hand as and when he used to be home. But weekdays used to be a task. Managing appointments, getting ready, food, everything. I learned to multitask. While others would crib, I learned to multitask. And it became an innate habit. So now, like we just spoke about it, 3 minutes, I'm here. Now, had it been for somebody else, it wouldn't have happened. Because I'm so used to doing things very quickly. Like I have friends walking into the house and then they announce, okay, we are here for dinner. So I'm not the one to panic and I'm not the one to grab an online food ordering app and say, okay, let's order food. I'm like, yeah, very chilled out. By the time they settle, I'll start serving them starters and by the dinner time, a whole table will be laid with multiple food and they will not even realize that I'm cooking because I'm so much with them and in and out, and I will finish it. So that came from there. I became a hands-on multitasking person and I managed a lot of things. And I took it in my stride very positively rather than cribbing about it. So that gave me the strength.
Which is your favorite tarot spread to use, Shamvi?
So there are many, but my most favorite is just open the deck, just lay the deck out and close your eyes and ask the cards what's the guidance. Irrespective, whether it's for the client or for myself, pick up a card and the guidance that comes is your answer.
So, there are a lot of skeptics out there, right? And some of them might turn around and say, you leave your fate to a pack of cards, essentially. So that is a misconception in my view. What other misconceptions do you hear about when it comes to tarot reading?
So they say it cannot predict future, it's rubbish, it is not worth the while. How can you predict the future with just a pack of cards? How do they speak to you? When I say cards speak to me, how do they speak to you? You're just making it up. You're trying to sound glamorous, but that's not the fact. I'll tell you, because many a times I'm on the go. Cards are always with me in more than my makeup pouch. I have my cards in the bag. I might forget my makeup pouch, but I will never forget a card in my deck. And if you ask a question and close my eyes, a particular card pops up in my head, and I open the deck, the same card will pop out. Now I can't open my head to show you that the same card came, but I will look at the card and smile. Oh, this is the same card. And it's not happened once, it happened many times with many people. So then I've come to a conclusion that, cards do connect. And each card has an energy. Like you and me. Okay, we are females, we are girls, you have long hair, I have long hair. That's a basic criteria. But when it comes to cards, each card has a number. Each card is driven by planets, zodiacs, colors, and so much more. So when you dive down in it, there are 78,000 meanings to each and every card. So the deck of cards that I hold has over 6 lakh meanings. Means when I have to decipher one question for you, I have to swim through 6 lakh meanings to give you an answer. Even that is for yes or a no. So it is a science and an art. Science because we all know astrology, numerology, colors, numbers, planetary movements. Now they're all established sciences. Art, why? Because it's how are you able to interpret it. The more you interpret, the better the reading. The more you dive into the meaning and the layers and the sub-layers and the sub-layers of the cards, you are able to interpret. Can I share an incident, a live incident that happened? So what happened, there was this lady who came to visit me. And there were a lot of newspaper articles and ads in those days. So she was one of them who read and came. She looked very calm, composed from the outer, but when she came in, she wasn't. So I offered water. And from the minute I offered water and I said, how are you? Are you doing fine? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. I gave her water. She settled down. We started the reading. She said, I'm here to check on my married life. So I said, the first thing that instantly came from my mouth is, are you planning separation? And her eyes was, she just did this. I usually take people's birth date. I did not ask her name, her birth date. Name, obviously, because it came on the WhatsApp, but I did not again ask her the cards to pray on the cards and to energize the card for her. So with every reading, the card gets energized with your name, your particulars, and that's when I start the reading. And we were just settling down. I was just shuffling the deck, arranging my cloth, checking if everything that I need is there on the table, checking with her if she needs some water. I asked this question. I looked at her reaction, did not react. I opened the cards and I said, yes, please tell me. She said, I'm here to actually check if I should continue the marriage or look out for separation. And she said, what I heard about you, you are just what I heard. Because in less than 30 seconds, you could say this. And there were many times I could just connect with random people in the malls or things like that. And I would give them very funny, silly advices and walk away. And years later, they would look me up somewhere or see me again and then tell me, you told us this and we did this and it happened. So it comes instinctively, intuitively, and with a lot of practice.
Do you actually prepare yourself before a reading? Do you have to do anything?
No, I don't. Late night meditation is something I do. I like to spend a lot of alone time. Let's look at the sky, get lost. I have a lot of plants in my house. I cleanse my energy through them. I spend time with them, with nature, with that's what I do to neutralize myself, but not as such to prepare. I never needed to.
Okay. And what if somebody is new to tarot card reading, or somebody is new to tarot itself, like they want a reading or whatever, what advice would you give them?
I welcome them to this beautiful world, and I welcome them to this journey of uh, being read. And I'm glad I have many first timers with me who have started this journey of tarot sessions with me. And they didn't know anything about tarot. They said, whatever you will say, we know that what you will say will come true. So just tell us. And they have, the faith has been instilled in them through my sessions or through the tarot cards. And I feel very blessed that for first timers, I'm able to be the light on the path. And I tell them always, look, I'm not doing a magic. This is not a voodoo. This is not a magic. This is not anything that you see in the movies that you ask and in a jiffy it comes to you. It's nothing like that. I am a GPS and I have the drone view. And what I will tell you is what you cannot see or comprehend. So just hear me, follow me, and you will have your answers.
You know, I'm with you when you say that essentially cards are energy in a sense, and that you can feel and sense people's energy, because in truth, we are all somehow connected to one another, and we are all connected to everything that we have created. It's just that we do not identify the reality, the true real self, unless we meditate, unless we get deeper into spirituality. And it's abyss. It's literally an abyss.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You need that alone time. You need to be with yourself before you take on more. And for me, sleep is okay. If I can get it, I okay. Because I actually remember in COVID times, uh, we were all locked up. There was all domestic work, cooking, managing the kid, yourself, your mental health, your emotional well-being. Plus, you have to be upbeat always and sound that hello, that hi, how are you would also be so vibrant that the person sitting in any part of the world would feel that there is a ray of hope with this lady who I'm connecting. So it goes a lot to balance in and to handle self to be able to give out. Because unless until we healers or me particularly, if I don't have it in me, I cannot give it out. If I'm dull, if I'm low, then why would anybody come to me? Because there's enough and more problems there. So the art is that you don't need to show what you're going through, but you need to be the Kange. So I have had people who have walked up to me and said, Ki, don't mind that I only look you up during my problem days. So I said, don't. I have learned to understand that I'm the candle in your darkness. So when everybody turns you down, you know that there is this one lady who will always answer me. And my hisab kitab, my maths, my balance sheet equation goes up with the supreme power. If I do a good, the Supreme has a tick on me. If I don't do a good, the Supreme will have a cross on me. So I am more answerable there than to these things, and which people really acknowledge.
So tell me something. I mean, you say that you are answerable to the supreme power, but how do you know when? It's a different type of question. But how do you know when the supreme power is actually happy with you, or that you have done something? You know, like, is there an intuition play here? How much does intuition play a part in all this?
There is no yardstick to this, but I'll tell you, during life, you come to understand. Suppose if I'm seeking, if I'm in some challenging situation, and if I'm seeking some kind of a answer or a help, the universe sends it to me. And I know that this has been encashed out of my good karma box. You just tend to know. You will experience this randomly. You're walking up a street and you are lost listening to your music, and lost. Somebody stops you and say, what you're wearing is looking nice on you. Now, you didn't step out of the house thinking that you will be complimented. You didn't dress because you thought you will be complimented. Or if you are at a cafe and you say, ma'am, this is on us, you'll be like, oh wow, really? So you'll be like, you didn't enter the cafe thinking you will get a complimentary one. You enter that you will have a good cafe and you will enjoy the view, you will listen to your music, maybe read something, write something, enjoy your space and go out. So when that good thing happens, you know that the universe is knocking at you.
You mentioned that you won the Maharashtra Ratan Puruskar Award. Tell me how that has changed the work that you do and the quality. Obviously, when you get more awards, you feel like, you're happy and you know that you're going the right direction, that you're doing something right, that all that manifestation that you've done is coming together.
Absolutely. So initially, there was a lot of wow thing. Why initially? Even now, people who hear this are very thing. Work is coming in. People are quite acknowledging of the fact that they are associating with somebody who is a chosen 21. Uh, in at the state level. So yes, work is coming. Work was always there, but it's coming little more than thing. Some new assignments, new engagements. It's coming in. There are a lot of Vastu related work I do. So Vastu is something which is very closely linked to my tarot, because through cards also I used to tell people a lot of Vastu remedies. Now after this, I'm getting a lot of work that is with the soil, and I feel connected. I feel that okay, probably the universe is trying to take me to a new path through this. New doors are opening. So it's just, this is beautiful. In fact, my new book is coming out, which is on Vastu. So yes,
So, Shambhi, you've also written another book called Aura.
yes. So this is my coffee table book.
Tell us about the book, Shambhi. What is in that book and why people should actually consider it?
So this book, first and foremost, is very, very dear to me, because not only is this book my first book, but also because I have designed each and every page of it. I have creatively put in my thoughts, my ideas to making the book what I really wanted and how I wanted it. The book showcases stories of inspiring ladies. So 23 inspiring ladies, including my own journey, is there, and each lady has been picked up for a particular reason. Whether she was just a homemaker and she's turned things around, or she's somebody who was a small 8-year-old girl and saw of conquering the sky and actually went to conquer it, including her hardships, her stories, but she made it big. So I quite resonate with these stories. I quite connect with these stories, and yeah, and so this book is a lot. If you are ever dull and you need a piece of inspiration, or you want to take a sneak peek that how do common people make it big, I think this is that book that will give you that read. Even you and I we need to just have that focus, that zeal, and that complete determination, and we will be on the path.
I have to agree with that. I really do. Along with manifestation comes hard work and then being disciplined. I interviewed Shishir Sharma a couple of weeks or a few weeks ago. And one of the key things that he said is discipline is a key in whatever you do. And I do agree with him. And the reason I agree with him is, and you know what, the one thing I admire my own father for is his discipline. Because his discipline has been instilled in me, and that has given me the opportunity to just work hard, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Discipline, time management, being dedicated are some of my key ingredients that I have nurtured over the years. So, time management also comes from my dad. He used to tell me if you have to reach somewhere, reach 5 minutes early than be late. You cannot reach a place and say, oh, I'm sorry. No, you have to reach early. And one thing he used to always tell me is that, as a student, I used to be, obviously we all are at times lazy. So I used to find a lot of excuses to not do a thing. So I used to always very, innovatively make new excuses and land up and say why I didn't do a homework. So one day my dad was having a cup of tea and it was a monsoon evening. I still remember. And he said, it's going to rain in some time and the lights will go off. So you see, you very come at the right time to say that why you can't do this. So the lights will be gone off for 2 hours. So anyways, you can't study. In these 2 hours, I want you to think and come back and tell me when the lights come that what would you do to do something. See, you very nicely came and said, I can't study because there's no light, which is okay. But what will you do to do something? So think about that rather than thinking of an excuse to not do a thing. And that actually kept me thinking. Then in those days, I don't know if you know or not, we used to have this emergency lights. So you used to plug in and you had those two fluorescent tubes, small tube that would sit on the table. So then I made dad buy that and I used to charge it and very diligently I used to keep it on my table with two lights and that used to be there and I used to study from there. My dad used to not be a person to come and pat on my back and say, well done. He was a taskmaster. Not in a bad way, but in a way that he would always keep me up my toe. So one fine evening he just came and on my head he just did this and he said, good. I was like on seventh heaven, oh my God. That said good, matlab it is beyond good. So that's when I learned that when you find a reason to not do a thing, think, how can you do it? Like I have a little fractured toe. Not obviously doctors will say, put your leg up and sit. I mean, how? You have to do 100 things in a day. So it's easy for me to tell the whole world, oh, I have a fractured toe. I can't come for an appointment. And I have to go for Vastu site visits, walk on uneven surfaces. I would tell them I'm coming. When I reach, I would tell them, sorry, I'll be a tortoise paced walking because I have a fractured toe. So then they would like, oh, why did you come? We could have postponed it. I said, no, I'll come. I'll do the work, but in tortoise pace I will do. Don't expect me to be a hare and a rabbit today, but I will do your work and I will go. So they would look me up and they would say, this is called dedication. My foot would be swollen at the end of the walk and I would be like, oh my God, I need to get back home. But I will not give it up just because it's a fracture.
We see the tortoise did win the race.
That's true. Slow and steady.
That's right. So now, Shampi, tell me something. Outside of tarot card reading, and you mentioned that you do a lot of Vastu-related works as well, what other sort of spiritual things that do you do?
Yeah. So apart from Vastu, I do, so apart from tarot, I do Vastu. I do life coach sessions. I'm writing. I used to write regularly for columns, which as of now, it's stopped because I'm working on 2 of my books. So that's coming up. I do something called healing through art. Now, healing through art is something which is very unique to me. And I heal about 7 different emotions through colors. So it's very beautiful how it goes is there is an anatomy of the body given, male, female separate, and there are certain instructions given. So you identify those instructions in your anatomy. To give you an example, like a human body anatomy is given, okay, of either male or female. Okay, then I will tell them identify anger. Okay, and I give them a color. Now the color is red because when you get angry, you're fuming. You're like fire. You will speak fire, your eyes will speak fire. So I associate it with the color red. So I give them a red pencil, pen, sketch pen, color, whatever. And I tell them this is the anatomy. Now put a dot where you resonate with this emotion. So some who are in the habit of hitting people, children, hurting, they will put it in their palm, hand. Somebody who is used to speaking very harshly will put it in their mouth or the throat chakra. So that is how we go about 7 different emotions and things go around. Now, during this time, I identify emotions. Once the emotions are identified, then the healing process begins. And that's when the person has been given a roadmap. This is what you did, and this is what you are getting. So this needs to change to this needs to change to that. Then there is a guided meditation that follows to it. So it's a good 2.5 hour process. And people really shed. They really shed. They shed emotions, they shed words, they write. Some people want to write. Some people just want to close their eyes and they cry in the guided meditation. So that's something very unique to me.
And you mentioned you're writing 2 new books. What are they about? Just briefly, I'm sure you probably don't want to say. And are they professionally published, or are you doing this on your own?
No, they'll be professionally published. They'll be on our. So my even Aura is on Amazon. So this will also go on Amazon. It will be on the publisher's website as well. So I'm signed up with Notion Press for that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
who?
Notion Press. So they're good. They are good and they're known. They were the ones to publish my first book. So that's happening. The next book is obviously I told you was about Vastu. So that has a key to health, happiness, and wealth, because these are the 3 things we seek in life through anything that we do. Whether we come for tarot, we go for Vastu, we go for palm reading, astrology. We seek only 3 things: health, happiness, and wealth. So that was something that's about I'll be writing. The other one, the manuscript is ready for is for the mental health. So that was another column that I used to write during COVID times. And so there are short stories, short notes on how to handle different situations into different life journey. So there are, I think, 45 stories. I'm trying to write 5 more to do it around 50. So about 50 stories, about a 200-page book. So, yes.
You know, these topics that you're talking about really interest me, particularly the mental health one, because, we've gone from a no digital age, which you and I probably experienced, where we didn't have computers at some stage. And we used to play outside, if that was our daily routine, like we'd spend 2 hours playing outside, reading, doing things like that. But in today's world, technology has changed so much. Whilst we become closer, I think we are experiencing a lot more issues.
Yes, absolutely. Our children don't know what is that. Like I have to do like a no phone day, like a no digital day. Like we don't. I just put the Wi-Fi off. So there's no phone coming. There is no TV happening. There is no Alexa screaming down the room, or there's nothing. So my son did come one day and tell me, "What do I do?" I don't know. Go clean the kitchen, go clean the backyard, go wash some clothes, go wash the washroom. That's not my job, was the first time it came to me. I said, hang in, everything is our job. We live in the house, we use things, so it's a job. Now, Shruti, it's become a part of us. Now everything has become a part, and we actually spend a lot of time off screen. We don't really have to put our Wi-Fi's off. It's there, okay, fine, it's there. If calls come, unless and until it's really important, we like to skip the call. We like to skip. We actually do this, that we put off the lights in the room and we just look out in the sky, because from where I stay, there's a beautiful skyline to Bombay, what I can see. So we see the skyline, we see the sky, we see the starry nights, we sing songs. Sometimes we put the Alexa on for lack of words to the song, but yeah, we do that. We pick up our hot chocolates in the night and we actually spend time talking and connecting. What happened in your day? What happened in your day? I didn't like this. Mama, I didn't like this. I didn't like with you. So we have that conversation.
Tell me how, in your thinking, Because you've obviously had a shift from when you were all using digital technology, and now you have that one day when you're just not using digital technology. What type of change has it made in your relationships?
There's a lot of me time, I find. First and foremost, there's a relationship with self, which I was missing. I was really missing. Getting these awards, no, it's it is very comforting, very contentful, very satisfying, uh, very beautiful. But being in the public eye can equally be very exhausting because you're always judged, gauged, and you always have to be in that space that you are the perfect. Sometimes drains you out. So there's no digital space was something very, very satisfying. Like it was like, oh, thank God that for one day there is nobody breathing down my neck. I don't have to chase appointments or pick up calls and be answerable. Why I didn't do this, what I didn't do. So like that.
Shamvi, once people become popular, famous, out in the media, well known, well recognized, do you feel that fear takes over at some stage?
I do. Because then the fear of the failure is there. Then the fear of being not acknowledged is be there. Then there is competition. Oh, this one got invited there and that one didn't get invited. Oh, I didn't get invited. Am I losing out? All of that happens. But I didn't face any. I was very content with my journey because I would always reel back to that moment of me sitting on that ledge of Marine Drive and asking the universe to show me a path. From there to here, it's a very big leap that I have taken personally, emotionally, mentally, physically. It's a very big leap. So it's okay.
Okay, so here's a different type of question. Do you actually see celebrities as well?
Yes, I have a lot of celebrity clients. A lot of them. And I would not like to say clients now. They really become very close friends. Like we really, chat like family. I'm like more than family. So
How do you then maintain a balance? Because at the end of the day, they are, they do have their own. They also, in some ways, even though they're famous and stuff, they obviously fear failure too. And if you come across, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but if you come across negative, how do you feel they take it?
I tell them to shut the day off. I just tell them that just think today is not the day that is there in your thing. So just don't worry about today. Just do what you feel like doing. And they actually do that. Some of them actually do. Some like to sleep through. Some like to do the spa. Some will just take the car and drive off. Some will say, let's go for a lunch. Different reactions from different people. So it's been very, very enriching to be with them also. Because they also teach you that how are they coping, that stress mechanism, that how are they coping with it. How are they trying to show the world, oops, I'm so happy and hunky-dory, while they and I know that things are really not right. Like, signing a OTT or getting acknowledged on OTT is very important as compared to that particular thing. Or getting to host a show as compared to the other one is equally important for them as compared to the other one. So they have that little thing that they're watching and they're like closely watching, and they have their PR agencies gunning for it. And they're like, oh, okay. So no, things like those. It's been very beautiful as to see how they also manage while I'm there to guide them, to show them the path, to show them different things that, okay, you should do this and you should not do that. But they are the ones who are also trying to show me that, look, Shambhavi, I did this and I could manage. So it's a beautiful learning both ways.
Tell me something. Tell me, you don't have to mention names here, but tell me something you may have told a celebrity, and then maybe you told them, sign this OTT show, and it really worked out well.
It did.
Has it happened?
Yes, it did. No, I don't mind sharing the name because she's very open to it. I did it for Kubra Seth. So I think the show name was Fountainhead, if I'm not wrong. I mean, Kubra, don't kill me if the show name is wrong. But yeah, yeah, she came early. She called me like early in the morning. Uh, Sam, are you up for morning breakfast? And I was just out of the bed having my tea, and I was like, yeah, I'm on my way. I'm like, okay, on my way. Matlab, it's like 8 in the morning. On my way. I said, okay, and I'm still in my pajamas, and I have not even thought of running for a quick shower. And I'm like, and she's here. So I said, what do you want to eat? Very clear in her head. I want to eat eggs and breads and omelets. Let's get done with breakfast first. So she's very sorted. She's a sweetheart that way. She's very sorted. Okay, fine. We got done with our breakfast and everything. She loves coffee. So we sat down with coffee, my chai, and we had this conversation. And she said, listen, this thing is about to come. And what do you have to say? 2 cards. And I said, listen, you're getting it. Just tell me where you're giving me a party now. She's like, no, Sam, seriously, tell me. And few days later, she did get, and she did sign up, and she did appear, and the show was very good, and she did a very good space in that. So yes, it did happen.
Hats off to you. You did well.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell me something about where you see the future of, what you are doing going.
Okay, it's a very interesting question actually. So after this Maharashtra Ratna Puraskar, I see new paths opening up, which is not tarot, but a lot more other things get opening up. So I see myself into writing, into more of public speaking. I've been a motivational speaker. So I see more of those work coming into me, more of those calls coming into me now that we would like you to speak here and speak there and do this column for us and write on this. So very different work, which I did it for a short period, but I see more of those coming in. So I see a new path opening up for me. So maybe our next podcast, if at all we do, then it'll not be tarot, probably it'll be something very different. And then we'll wire back to this.
Yeah, we will. Look, I will be speaking to you in the future. I'm telling you now, and that is
Thank you.
it's for your new book launch. I'm very interested in that.
I'll keep you
and-
posted.
Yeah, for sure. And then that hopefully will tie in with your new ventures and how that's going.
Interesting.
Okay, so when you say these new opportunities that are coming, do you plan to ever give up your old opportunities, or are you just going to expand the portfolio?
I always tell in all my interviews, all my podcasts, it's like a book. My life is like a book. So every time I turn a new page, a new chapter is being written for me. I do not plan anything. Look at a podcast. I did not plan it. It came my way. Just one message, and I was told that, okay, we will connect, and then we connected, and we are talking. My opportunities, touch wood, seriously, they come. They just come. I have planned. The only thing I planned was that I will not work after my son is born. I don't want him to leave him to nanny or to house helps or watch him over the CCTV camera or a two-way camera to talk to him. This was the only thing I planned. Rest, the universe has shown me the path. Even my appointments, there are days people tell me, okay, can I book this slot? And I'm like, yeah, okay, book. And they wonder, and then some of my clients who have now become friends, they used to always tell me, how come you always have a slot open for us? I said, yeah, it's open. Why to act pricey? Because I know of tarot readers who just deliberately say slots are full to show that they're busy. I'm like, no, if I have a slot, I'll give you. Feel happy that you're first come, first serve. Feel happy that you asked for an appointment and you got it. Why to act pricey? For what? So I've always been like this.
You won so many awards. You've actually manifested success, which we've spoken about. What is the judging criteria for these awards? What is the criteria to be known, and to win that Maharashtra award, for example?
See, the Maharashtra Ratna came to me because I was nominated. So they have these 21, 22 people who they felicitate, and they have entries and nominations from across Maharashtra. So along with me, there was a 3-year-old girl who also won the award. There was this very senior gentleman who, during he was one of the guys very instrumental for the trial of the Kasab times. So the gentleman was very well acknowledged in this legal judiciary space. So even he was acknowledged. Standing between a 3-year and a 50-year-old plus 50-year plus people, you know, I just know one thing, that they see the work that you do. And last 3 years, I have been working a lot with a lot of NGOs. I work with the local bodies here. I do a lot of work. I do give out a lot of free education to small institutions, schools, teach one-to-one teaching, do a lot of charity. I think it just has its way. So we were talking some time ago about the universe giving it back to you. I think this is how it came back to me. And for this award, you have to be nominated. So you cannot self-nominate yourself that, oh, I have done this, and you can't tom-tom about yourself. So somebody has to nominate you, and then the panel vets you. So this award, now I can very openly say, I have waited 2 years to get this award, because I was getting feelers from NGOs that they're sending. So I have letters that they have sent me saying, see, Shambhavi, we have nominated you. We don't know if you will get it or not. So I have 12 such letters from different NGOs saying that, look, we have nominated you. And when I reached the stage, and after that, when we were doing a PR meeting and chatting with each other and posing, and they came and told me, your name received the maximum amount of nomination. So I don't know who nominated. I don't even have a name to go back and say thank you. Apart from those two people who told me that, okay, we have nominated you. The others, I don't even know who they are. They've neither approached me nor I know who they are that I can go and say, sir, ma'am, thank you so much for nominating me. I don't know. So it's just a very beautiful feeling. I feel really very content, very, very nice. That, oh my God, my hard work is paid. I think this is just here. That's the award. So, yes.
When I'm not sure if your father and mother have been able to see you receive the award.
No, they have not. They have not. I would say not yet.
Okay. But do you know how they feel about you having received? Because you said that, there was a time when your father would never say very good, and then he said good. So what was his reaction?
Yeah, so when I got this one, he said, I'm proud of you. He told my mother, I'm proud of her. So mom passed it on to me. Your dad said he's very proud of you. So even that is okay. The fact that he said I'm proud of you is good enough. Whether mom says or he says, it's the same thing.
But it's such an amazing feeling, that you're...
Seriously, it is. It's very satisfying. Very, very, very satisfying. I mean, I look at it and I smile. I'm like, finally. I know the kind of efforts I've put in for it. And initial years, when you're trying to establish something, establish your credibility, your name, your work, the amount of work you have to do is really killing. I would leave home at about 8 in the morning. My husband would go to office, and I would leave with baggage. Why? Because I have an event coming up there. Sit whole day at the event, come back home. I have a little one to look after. I'm hungry. I'm tired. Given an option, I would just run off to bed and go off to sleep and just wake up the next morning. But then you have to go in for shower, come back, maybe cook a meal, look after the little one, spend time, socialize, sit. So it used to be very taxing. There has to be. So the biggest joke, I have to share this with you. The biggest joke was, I came back from an event and everybody was very geared up. Friends were over and they had booked a ticket for Three Idiots. It's a famous Amir Khan movie, which did very well on the box office. So they were all booked. and we're all ready. And I come and I say, yeah, 5 minutes, I'll just get ready. And very excitedly, we go for the movie. And after the movie, we're supposed to go for a drive and dinner. And guess what? From the time the movie started till the movie ended, I was sleeping merrily in the couch, oblivious of the fact who's watching me. There was an interval. They tried to wake me up. Get up, people are watching. To hell with who's watching. Nice comfy sofa. I had a little shawl over me. Something was very cushiony, and I was like, I slept through. And they were finally laughing, and all I opened my eyes. Yeah. Then they said, okay, good morning. You're too early for the next show.
You know, I actually went to watch that movie in the cinema, and it turned out to be a really good movie because
It
I'm
is.
Gujarati.
Okay.
I'm Gujarati. So there was a scene where Kareena Kapoor was talking about the dhoklas and the
Yeah.
faklas. So I feel that movie actually put us on the map in a sense.
Yes, yes. It's a beautiful movie, but I'm still date. I'm pulled up. Look at her. She goes and sleeps in the Three Idiot movie. I mean, it was like a crime. Like, who does it? I'm like, so what? Yeah, I was tired. I slept off. And I'm so cool about it. And they say they love the reaction I give them because I'm just not guilty. And after that, I've seen it like 1,000 times. And I've enjoyed every time I've seen. Remembering that, oh, I've slept through the movie.
Shamvi, tell me something. You mentioned you've practiced 21 different modalities. You mentioned a number of them are healing modalities. What other modalities would you say, other than obviously tarot and stuff, what are the modalities?
I do something called runes. Runes are these stones that are carved inscription, and you take them like stones, shuffle them in your hand, and just throw them. And the ones that come up, so some will be face down, some will come up. So all of that. So that's one. Then I do handwriting and signature analysis. Through handwriting and signature, I not only decode your current, I also decode your past. So so I like to say how I stitch them up together. So if somebody comes in, usually clients are very reserved. They're always thinking that we are judging them. We never judge them. Let me not talk we. I don't judge them, because each person walks in with his or her own canvas, is her own story. So I'm here to admire or move on. I'm not here to even comment on them. So what happens here is some come very reserved. So now how do I make them talk? So I have this little guest book. So I make them write their name, their birth date, how long do they want the session, because my sessions are divided into various time slots. So how long do they want? Basically, I'm trying to do an icebreaker. See, when they write, they leave a mental imprint on the paper of how they are feeling at that point of time. Correct? So that helps me understand and pick up a conversation at that moment. So if I know that, okay, just to give you, if there are a lot of blotches in the writing, so I know the person is thinking, hesitant, not wanting to open up, reluctant to speak, is feeling judged, is feeling jittery. So I read and I tell them, relax. Then I tell them, okay, chai piye. My head is hurting. Chai pili thoda. If you have time, I'll extend 10 minutes extra. The person gets relaxed and then say, yeah, let's have chai. So the tea is my opener. So we hold the hot cup of tea and we start talking. So tell me what brings you here. I hope you're relaxed. You want to eat something? Kuch mangaye kya? So they were like, no, we are good. So then they know that, okay, they are not being judged. They can talk to me. I'm easygoing. I'm approachable. Some feel very jittery sitting on the table. So I'll say, come. I said, it's okay if we sit on the carpet today and do the session. So like, yeah. So people who come for life coach sessions, I have a rocking chair. So I will sit on the chair and I'll make them sit on the rocking chair. And they're swaying in the rocking chair. And that's when they're thinking, they're looking up. I'll put some instrumental music and they start opening. Then I'll say, okay, let's do something. You're getting bored? Okay, I have something to do with colors. Come, let's do colors. So without telling them, I'm taking them through colors, healing through art. So I'm taking them through there. So you see, I'm stitching up my various modalities. Sometimes people come with a very negative feeling about the cards. Okay, they're like, I don't trust it. This is rubbish. This how will this give you future? I said, come, let's do something different. So then I take them through runes. I said, this is very ancient. Then I start talking to them, the history of runes. Why is it important? How will you come to know of your future? And then just a random one stone. And then I tell them about it. And they're like, oh, wow, really? And then, so you see, I'm opening many layers of them. I'm also trying to understand what works, what doesn't work. What are they closed about and what are they open? Where am I able to sneak in? Am I able to sneak in? There are times somebody is like really closed. I'm also quiet. I actually had a client like that. No matter what I ask, I'm good. Only one answer. I'm good. Will you have tea? I'm good. Do you want to talk about something else? I'm good. He would really, and he was referred to me by his sister, who's a doctor. So she said, by any way, by hook or crook, he must not leave your place before 1 hour. Now, how much to hear? I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. So I said, you know what? Let's watch some song. And I then laughed and I told him, don't say I'm good because I don't know who's the singer of I'm good. So that was my icebreaker. So then we listened to some songs and he told me, oh, listen to some spiritual talks. He's telling me, you should listen to this. Yeah, please, please open it. So we had the TV in front. So we put some spiritual talk. After 5 minutes, I was like, yeah, I'm not that boring, yeah, that you can't, you can listen to this, you can't listen to me. So, there are various ways to open people up. And that's when I realized delving into one plus modality always works. Because if I would do just a tarot reader, or if I was just a Vastu consultant, or just an author, I would not have made it here. I would have been history. So it was very important for me to be into many spaces. Because of my experience, my knowledge, I was invited to do a lot of talking. So then I realized it kind of motivates people. It kind of gives them an insight of what I'm writing. My writing is limited to a set of audience. So how it all moves up. So that's how I use various modalities.
Shamvi, I want to thank you for this session. I've had a good time talking to you, learning from you. It's been so nice to be speaking with you. Like I said, you are my first tarot card reader.
No, thank you very much. I mean, your questions are very insightful. They literally made me think. They literally made me go back in time, talk about things which I don't always talk on podcasts, or people would want to know, but there's nobody asking me the right question to give me the right answer. So, in fact, even I enjoyed talking to you, and I think it's been an hour. And it's just time has just flown by. So, indeed, it was beautiful.
I know, I agree. I've learned so much from you. Like, we always hear that we all manifest energy and stuff, but people rarely understand that, everything is energy.
A lot of people actually come to me and ask me this: can we actually manifest? They say, has anything happened with you that you confirm that there is something right? And I always tell them, give them this award story. And there are many stories. I manifested my pet. Like, I've always been wanting, from a very young age, I have grown up with dogs in the house. And for some time now, I was just really looking for a golden retriever. So a lot of people walked up to me and said, it's difficult to manage, it's expensive, they shed a lot of hair, and I'm very stickler for, I have this OCD for cleaning, I have OCD for putting things right in its place. I have a lot of things because I get a lot of things from people. They come home, so I can't just keep things in shunting. So they feel offended that, okay, I've given you something and I don't see it displayed in your house. So in spite of a lot of things in my house, it's been very beautifully placed. So keeping a pet, everybody was like, listen, you can't keep a pet. So I said, and just then I got a message from a friend that she wants to gift my son a pet. And I was manifesting. In April, I was at a dog cafe playing with dogs, hugging a dog and saying, listen, I just want to take you home. Universe, I just want a pup. I don't know how, but I want a pup. This was April. And today we are in November, via back 3 months, August, July end, I get my pup. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I agree. there is manifestation. You can manifest success, you can manifest
You
anything.
have to do it. And you know, the power of manifestation is only 17 seconds, which not many people know. You don't have to do it daily. You don't have to do it for hours together. No. 17 seconds is what you hold your thought. And if it truly resonates with you, it happens. Like, for example, I was asked this very lame question that if somebody has done bad to me, should I manifest that the person will always be hit? Manika, you will fall sick. You cannot manifest negativity. It will boomerang 100 times more on you. So manifest, don't manifest for others. Only manifest what you want, a deep down strong wish. And the universe will actually get it to you. Don't question the universe how, but it will come. So I really, really believe that.
Shambhi, thank you so much for this. I am really happy for you to be on my show.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait to have the next podcast with you. To top it off, you and I have agreed that you're going to do a 5-minute tarot reading because we don't want to do it on the podcast. And in that 5 minutes, which I'm going to share as an introduction as to how it went. So keep a lookout. Thank you, Shambhi.
Thank you.